All right. So real quick, I think we're gonna, so if you haven't been in my group too much, I'm a big fan of getting right to the goods. Like, I don't like to dilly-dally around, which is why most people are gonna jump on like right away, because we do get started fairly soon. So let me introduce you first briefly, and then maybe you can just add to it. You are a Chicagoland agent. You are doing millions of volume in the Chicagoland area. You're still in production, and you are farming an entire building, which is what landed you in the seat in front of me, because I have so many questions for you. So,
I'm glad to hear it. Good. I mean, that's probably pretty much it. So my name's Curtis Hunt. I office out of the Lincoln Park office here in Chicago. That is where my license is held. I also have a satellite office in my farm in Lakeview, which is in Wrigleyville in Boys Town. So I kind of, I've been with Coldwell Banker for 18 years. I have been licensed for 18 years. I literally took my license at Coldwell Banker in the office, in the conference room, and they gave me a desk, and they haven't been able to get rid of me since. I am also currently, a couple of years ago, I'm a little sales and I'm a little corporate, meaning that I am the sales specialist for the City Central region. So I am the assistant manager of the Lincoln Park office, the Gold Coast office, and the West Loop office.
you're busy. And here you are talking to us. I feel like extra special right now.
I don't have a 2-year-old or teaching second grade math, so you are much busier than myself.
I know we had a fun conversation just before this interview. So, well, let's talk about what the type of farming you do. So the hyperlocal real estate agent is, like I said, this is our group where we are currently also live streaming there for our members. And it is all things hyperlocal farming, building a reputation as like that go-to agent that people just have in mind to call, to reach out to, if it's like I want to be in the building or I want to know what's coming on the market soon. So what type of farming is vertical farming? Do you think you can, like, what type of property are you looking for? How many units are there? Like, can you shed some light on that for your own personal building?
Yeah. So I am no longer living in my farm, but that is how my farm started 18 years ago. And a vertical farm is pretty much like, obviously a regular real estate farm. You're spread out, you're doing a neighborhood. My particular neighborhood isn't spread out. It's a vertical farm. I farm one building. I farm one address. I farm 655 Irving Park Road. I've always farmed it for 18 years. There's 901 units. There's 2,300 people that live underneath one roof. And it's just kind of, did I organically grow it or did I fall into it? I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg.
That would be my next question. Like, like totally on purpose, because I love to talk to people of like, how do I go about finding a profitable farm? All those things based on numbers, but sometimes it just happens accidentally where people are just falling into it. So that's kind of what's there.
How I started in this in my farm was I had just bought in this building. It was the largest deconversion in the country, actually. It went from apartment building, they deconverted it into condos. So I was one of the original buyers of the 901 units. But I was in the service industry. I was bartending, waiting tables, and I got my real estate license. And I took a class on farming. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. This is what I've got a built-in farm right here. But I would keep going on listing appointments when I first got licensed. And of course, the sellers would say, what have you sold here? And I would say, well, nothing. And they would be like, well, what clients have you had that have bought here? And I would be like, well, none. And they were like, well, what listings do you currently have here? And I would be like, well, none. And they would say like, well, thank you so much for coming in.
First.
Right? So I was like, how am I going to crack the ice? How am I going to get into my farm being a brand new agent? And you don't even have to be a brand new agent. You can be in the business 10 years and you want to create a new farm. And how I did it was, after this happened, what have you done? What have you bought? What have you sold? And I kept saying, no, no, no. Then there was a lady in my office, Millie, and she took a listing in my farm. And I didn't even know her. And I went over to the desk, and I was just like, how did you get that? And she was like, well, they bought over at this building. I was like, I'll tell you what I want to do. I was like, I will do all your showings. I'll do all your open houses. I'll do your inspection. I'll do your appraisal. I'll do everything. You don't have to pay me at all, but I want you to list me as your co-lister. And she was like, you'll do all the work. I'll get the money, and you just want me to list you in the MLS as the co-lister? And I was like, yep. And she was like, well, why wouldn't I? So she did. And literally, I went to my next listing appointment the next day. And they asked, the same questions. What have you got listed in the building? And it was my mindset, my confidence switched. And I was like, well, as a matter of fact, I took a 2-bedroom, 2-bath listing here yesterday. And I got that listing. Did I get it because I got the listing before? Or did I just catch a little traction and get the groove? So that's how my farm started.
Interesting. Now, there's a couple things you actually said that I found personally very, very interesting, and you're probably just like breezing over them because they're like, like it's such a part of your story at this point. But it's a building that was converted from apartment buildings to condos.
Yes.
Now, I'm just like wondering if there is like did you find like a lot of the units started turning over right after that happened? Like, did you just, I don't know, I'm just seeing like a lot of activity happening from that. People moving out, leases are ending then, and they're like, oh, I didn't like the new management. Now it's like owned by the owner. Like, I don't know.
It was such a big building, they did it in phases. So they did 1 to 28 in 2 years, and then they did 28 to 55 in the next 2 years. So by the time the developers were selling off the top units, the units down here were coming on for resale. So the building has always been busy. There's kind of a formula. I don't know if everybody agrees, but I'll tell you what my formula for picking out a farm is, whether it's vertical.
I love to always compare them.
Neighborhood. You want to see that you want to pick your farm, the amount, and you want 6% of your farm to turn over every year. So if you're looking at, at a building of 500 units and you want 6% to turn over every year, that's 30 units out of those 500 that you want to be able to, not you, but you want.
Yeah.
You'll notice, just scrub the MLS for solds. And then once you find the 30 units that have sold, you kind of want to go through and see that nobody is taking the commanding market share of those 30 units. If one agent is selling 20 out of the 30,
right?
Do you really want, because farming is expensive. I mean, it's going to take you a year to get some traction, to get going. And if you're going up against somebody that's monopolized the market in that building, you're kind of just, you can do it.
It's expensive though. It's like, it's not the best use of marketing dollars. So, so we are looking at an 8 to 10% turnover typically for our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Seeing that it's a little bit lower in the condo buildings is interesting. Obviously, more is always good, but it's kind of interesting to see where the turnover is. And I'm sure the turnover, you have probably maybe a little bit higher rates too, just from how
it is. That's kind of the minimum. You don't want to farm a building that nobody moves. Like there's co-ops here in town, that people buy and they don't sell until they die.
Yeah, no, you don't want those buildings.
You don't want to spend a lot of money on postcards and stuff if nobody's ever selling.
Yeah, no, it's been, I can see that. The 6% is interesting. One of the other numbers I started playing around with, and again, that's more, neighborhood related, but I'm sure it applies to your building itself, is a monthly turnover rate. So when we look at monthly, we're looking at about a 1 to 2%, turnover rate. Ideally, I guess for you, it would come down to about 0.5% to 1% a month. So, maybe it helps somebody to go back. I know this year has been crazy, and I'm sure you can attest to that, of, how crazy busy the city market has been, very fast paced.
It has been. Our inventory is growing. So, but even like a couple percent, like 2% of 900, that's 18 units that are turning over. So I can tell you currently in my farm, there are 24 one bedrooms for sale. There's a half a dozen studios for sale. And there's probably a dozen 2-bedroom, 2 baths for sale. So we don't even, I think in a really healthy market, you want like 10% on the market at any given time, but we're not even there. That would be 90 units. That would be huge.
Yeah, well, and hopefully you have the lion's share of all of those, right? That would be ideal.
I've been, knock on wood, I've been very, very lucky.
Good. So the farm started kind of accidental for you, but then again, if you had somebody saying, you know what, I wanna do it, those are kind of the numbers to aim for. So I love that one. So you said you've been at it for 18 years for that one building.
Yeah.
You started living there, and now you've moved to a different place, but you continue to farm it.
I do. I left about 12 years ago, and 2 years ago, I opened up an office on the ground floor of the building because I was there more often than not. I probably should have stayed there. I'm there more now than when I lived there. Yeah, so 18 years. I haven't done it recently, and it's kind of it was an interesting postcard. Like a couple years ago, I was like, sold my 300th unit in the building.
I love that. I'm all about postcard marketing. So many people inside the group can tell you, yeah, this lady is crazy when it comes to postcard marketing. But that's an awesome one.
Postcards are great, because they see you in. Everybody opens up their mail in the mailroom in front of over the garbage. They look at your postcard, and throw it away. So you figure I'm sending 900 postcards. That cost me $450. And when I go into the mailroom and I see all my postcards in the garbage, I'm like, it kills me. But all I need is a half a dozen of them to go up the elevator. All I need is a couple of them, and every postcard pays for itself.
Yes.
Because then when, not only that, but they just see your picture, they see your stuff, whatever it is, and they'll see you in the elevator, and they'll be like, oh, you're the guy who sends me all the crap in the mail. I'm like, yep, that's me.
See, I love that. See, that's awesome.
That's all you want to do. That's all it's, we think, oh my God, I spent so much time with marketing and making it pretty and putting it together. Like, oh, should I check the font? Should I do it? Don't overthink it. Just do it.
Absolutely. There's actually, and I'll link back to a podcast episode in here later. There's 2 types of mailers, and you are hinting on them. There's our lead generation mailer, and then there's also our brand awareness mailer. So I'll link the podcast episode of where the difference is, so you guys can catch up on that one. So, but while we're on the term of marketing, so you do postcards, you send postcards. Do you send them like regularly? Like, what's your marketing schedule? Like, what kind of marketing do you generally do?
I try to do at least quarterly because it is such a big farm and it's expensive to send a postcard. It's like I say, it's $450 to send a postcard to the building. So like this quarter will be my Christmas postcard, and I do it every year. It's just either it always has to have the building. Obviously the theme is the building, so whether it's a picture of the wreath in the lobby, or it's the Christmas tree with me standing in front of the Christmas tree in the lobby, they have to know that it's specific for that. I send it specifically to them. I'm not sending it to Chicago. I'm sending it to only 655 Irving Park Road. Merry Christmas, 655. It's called Park Place. You know, so I'll say Merry Christmas, Park Place, with me in the lobby, or, you know, maybe just the lobby. But I think is that the answer to your question? So every quarter, this quarter, it's going to be the Christmas card.
Christmas one, and then for spring, I'm assuming you're kind of looking for those spring listings.
Yep, currently listed, and then I'll list mine.
And then your summer, and then your fall one.
They differ. I've done different things. I've tried different things. I kind of, you know, skewer on the side of pushing the envelope a little bit to see.
I like that.
I like to make it shocking. Some of them have gone over well, and, you know, some of them have not.
Oh, and now I'm curious to see both of them. The ones that were well, and you know, part of me always loves to do a mailer review for people inside the group. I do dissect our own company mailers to the T, of where there's always room for improvement. But it's interesting. So mailers are really the one thing. Is there anything that you do for like a face-to-face other than the, hey, you're the guy in the elevator?
You know, I got so many listings before I had my office over there by just sitting in the lobby. You know, I would have showings, and there's you know, couches in the lobby. So people would just see me sitting on the couch, and they would just walk up to me, and they're like, I know you're waiting for a showing, or, you know, but I wanted to talk to you about putting 1216 on the market, or, you know, something like that. You just have to be seen in your farm, and obviously be approachable, be friendly, be approachable, you know, and that's another face-to-face besides postcards, just physically being seen.
That's true. If they are like coming in and out of the building and you're just there, then that's.
If they see you in the lobby every day, you know, they know that you're the guy to talk to.
Right, and you belong to the building, and then the postcard is amplifying you on a professional standpoint.
Right, exactly.
Love that. Is there anything, and I know you already said like there were some mailers that, you know, were amazing and some that were not so amazing. Is there anything in terms like that you learned throughout that farming? I mean, 18 years, you are well ahead of what I have under my belt. So I love to talk to people that just know so much more than me, right?
I don't know about that, but I've learned all the stuff from you already. But no, it's just learned by doing it, really. But, you know, are there things that I found that didn't work? Or, you know, I do Facebook Live open houses. If you're going to do an open house, you might as well go live on Facebook at the same time. And, you know, you can, because most buildings and most, I don't know about neighborhoods and stuff, they have a HOA group. So if they've got an HOA group, they've got a Facebook page, and you want to be able to get invited into the Facebook page. So that way you can do, you know, coming to the market soon, pick your neighbor. And if you do open house, you can live stream it to the Facebook page.
Do you live stream the entirety of the open house, or do you just do like a video walkthrough?
Just really quick. I'll send it out like, you know, to the group, to the HOA. Hey, gonna do an open house Sunday at 2 o'clock. And then I'll go live at 2 o'clock, but it's only for like, you know, 5 minutes. I'll walk them around. I did it 6 times one Sunday. I had 6 open houses, and I just went from unit to unit. That didn't work. It was too much, you know, because I would turn it off, then I'd go live again, go down the elevator 6 floors, and come back on 10 minutes later. You know, you got to try things. That one, I don't think that worked.
Okay, so that was probably like the worst marketing idea when it came to it.
You got to, I've come up with some worse things than that. I mean, a pocket listing coming onto the market soon, I sent out a postcard, and it was a picture of a guy's from only the belly to the knees of his pockets, and it said, I got a listing in my. Is that a listing in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
This is awesome.
Well, that's what I say when I try to push the envelope a little bit. You know, that one.
Inside the box. I like that one. I gotta see. Now I feel like I'm in my comfort zone. Now I feel like I gotta like do more.
Well, you just got to do not shocking things. That might have been a little bit too shocking. I mean, it was my most popular that everybody remembers, but it was also the most, you know, people either really loved it,
one.
or people were like, oh my God, they were a little offended because it was just a picture of a guy's crotch.
Essentially, just like in the midsection of it.
I mean, that's all it was. It was like the belt to the knee.
Pockets, people, the pockets.
I did a Valentine card to the building. It was a little girl with her finger 2 inches up her nose, and it was like your real estate, something about real estate and your Valentine, and it said pick a winner. That was, I thought it was cute and funny. Some people were just like, didn't think it was too funny. Right. But, you know, you gotta, people, it's better than doing, you know, just listed. No one cares.
No, nobody cares about the generic one, and it's a big thing we talk about. It's just like, don't be everybody else, because if you are like everybody else, you end up like 97% of the real estate world, which is out of business. So just having this, you know, and being different, you're setting yourself apart in a really, really favorable way. So like that one. So talk about some of the like obstacles that you kind of encountered while farming. I know you said the postcard mailers. One of the questions we always get in the group is, how do I get addresses?
You know, Remind, do you all have Remind?
Well, I don't think all of us necessarily do. It is a national service, so it is definitely available nationwide.
But you don't, you know, because here's the problem that I've found in a big building. Since there is such a turnover in these buildings, whether it's renters or sellers, if you say Tom Smith at 655 Irving Park Road, 1214, and Tom Smith sold it or rented it, you know, they send it back. So I've been doing it for years and years, and I never ever put their names on it. I just say my neighbor at 655. So when the mail person is putting them in the mailboxes, they won't scrub them if it's not Tom Smith that lives there. I just want whoever lives there, I want them to get it.
Nice. I like that. That's a really nice workaround.
Yeah, because otherwise you get a stack of you get a stack of them sent back from the mail, and it's like, I would have, you know, I don't care who get it, just I would have rather you
that lives there, right? Just back under the door.
Exactly.
Have you done any of like the hand delivery door to door? I mean, 900 some units, that's a lot of units, but like if there's like one floor and you just want to get the word out, anything like that, or is that like frowned upon with the association to stick things?
It is. You can't. I just dropped off pumpkins and Halloween candy. I had those little pumpkins. I looped a thing on, what do you call those, rough ropes, and then I tied a bag of candy on the other side, and I just looped it over doorknobs, but only my clients, my past clients, and only the ones that I knew that were home and lived there, because the building doesn't want you to, and I'm sure even single family houses, they don't want you to put something on the doorstep, and if they're not home and it sits there for a couple of days, it shows that they're not home. So I only do pop buys if I know that they are there and that I personally know them and sold them the house.
Okay. Do you go about like collecting email addresses in that building? Like I'm a huge list builder. Like I believe in my, you know, my net worth is determined by my database. Like I got to grow the people I have on my list. do you try and get the emails in a certain way to have like to market to them, or are you really relying more on offline marketing strategies?
I should do a better job of that, but yeah, no, I mean, I save emails of deals that I've done. So, because I'm kind of in generations now of selling this unit 3 times or something
Right.
like that. So I know who it is and I know who lives there and I know have their email address. But I've also tried to do it with the doorman, but then you don't want to get the doorman in trouble. If you I know you've got the list with everybody's name and everybody's phone number and everybody's email address, but
So
you'll get the poor guy fired.
and that doesn't work. Chicago, right?
I do. I always take care of doormen with Starbucks cards. Buy lunch. I buy lunch for the entire building. There's 18 janitors that take care of the place. So, I mean, I do like those sort of pop buys for the building or the management.
Do you, and I kind of like that because it's like, the building itself, like the people making it work are the people behind the scenes. Those are the people that oftentimes know more, who scheduled a moving truck, who's inquired about the move out fee. And like having that relationship with them is probably very beneficial to kind of get first dips into, who's had a thought of maybe moving up a floor, down a floor, out of the building, into the building, who's
And
looking.
everybody talks to the doorman. The doorman is the gatekeeper of the building. And, if they just say, the fellow over on the couch was asking, for rentals, or lives up in 5016 and he wants to sell his unit. I will give John a $20 handshake, whether that comes to fruition or not. It's more of a thank you because, when someone comes in for an open house, they call me on the phone and I show them my units. I then take them back down to the lobby and take them to the revolving door and show them right out.
Yeah,
Uh,
I like that.
so it's a Brian Buffini, kind of a, don't reward the result, reward the action.
Yep.
They
Always. It's not about you actually doing the business, it's about the opportunity.
yeah, yeah, because half a dozen of those, one of them will hit.
Yep, one of them will hit, and while you do it, that's 5, 6, 7 people, and it's pipeline building. It comes back down to maybe it wasn't right for now, but 3 years down the road, they remember who to call in that building, who's the person. So from a marketing perspective, there's actually a few things between the Popeyes, the postcards that you're doing, and then the open houses. While we're on the topic of open houses and condos, I mean, I generally have an understanding of how they work, but do you want to share like how you set up generally? Because it is a different circumstance than a single family home, like most of us are doing here.
Uh-huh.
You can't prop the door open, right?
No, and I do a bunch all at once, meaning like if I've got 12 units listed in the building at the same weekend, you can't, because your seller knows, like, how come you did an open house for them and not me, or that sort of a thing. So I put them all in the MLS, so they go out to Redfin and Zillow, so everybody on their app can driving by knows where the open houses are. I give, a list. I usually do a brochure and just write open houses. Today, Rose is she's the girl that's there on Sunday mornings. And then I just list them. 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, studios for rent, for sale. And if someone walks in the front door and says, I'm here for the open house, she just calls me on my phone. I'm lucky because I have an office just right there. But there's agents that are sitting in the lobby doing open houses also. And of course, I put out signs on the street just in front of the building, open house. But really, that's about it. But does that answer the question? It's pretty much runs the same.
Does are all the open houses then more like private tours? Because if she calls you and then you come down to get that one person, you tour them through. If she called somebody up in the meantime, it's really they have to wait there until you escort them up to the floor. Am I getting this right?
That's true. I'm also lucky that I usually have somebody else with me in the office. I have two ladies, Catherine or Susan, that will help me out. And if we're both twirling in the building, Rose will, I'll just say, because Rose will call me, and I'll just say, hey, I'll be down in 10 minutes. I'll be right there, or something like that. I'll be there as soon as I can.
Because we come up, I mean, and I'm sure if you heard it, that, our single family properties, and there's like 5 groups going through, and you're trying to make a connection with all of them, and you don't know which way to turn first, right? So having that, elevator ride, and then the walk down the hallway, and then touring the unit, and then doing this entire thing backwards again out the door, like you have a lot more quality time, it seems, with your potential customers to answer questions and just in general be like, building that connection, which is kind of cool.
It is, because with a building, I don't think it would be any different than a neighborhood. You're giving them the spiel, your assessment includes, heat, air, gym, pool. You're kind of giving them the whole works. You're selling them the neighborhood on your, as you ricochet around the building. If you show them one bedroom and they're like, I don't really like that, and be like, well, that's all right. I've got something on the south side with a different floor plan, same price point. So if you, chocolate, strawberry, vanilla, you don't like this one, and I tell people, you won't hurt my feelings. We'll walk in, we'll spin on our heels, and we'll walk out and go to another one.
Yeah, like this knowledge that you get, because most agents, if they have one listing in that building, they do not take the time. If they got a 2-bedroom, they do not even take the time to know the 1-bedrooms or the studios. So you really make it a point of know what's there, so you can just divert them and continue finding them something right there, so you have another sale, or purchase under your belt this way.
Right.
I really like that. I feel like it's the effort that's sometimes missing these days.
You have to sell the building as well as the unit. You have to sell the neighborhood as well as the house. So it's kind of the same thing. You just have to be the expert. If someone came to your open house and said, what school district is this in? You kind of have to know.
Yeah, you should know. You should know. Well, that's all true. So let's see if there's, I think there's one question that popped up. What if you're late into the game? How do you find an area, or how do you get into an area? I don't know, late into the game. Do you think there is ever a being late into the game?
With this world this year, I think as of March, it leveled the playing field. There is no such thing as being late to the game. Everybody had to bend in the wind. Everybody's changing their game. Everybody's kind of starting from new. So I don't think there's late in the game right now. It's just, I don't know. It's just doing it.
Business, right? Don't pick the business where somebody has a giant market share. That's probably the best thing here. And that's the same for neighborhood marketing, vertical farming, I'm sure. I mean, it's possible. It's just going to take a lot more money to make it happen.
And all you need is that one. Turn one listing into 3. If your cousin lists his house with you and you know the market, then work that one listing and turn it into 3 more listings.
Right. No, I'm with you on that. I'm a big believer in momentum and snowball effects. So yeah, for sure.
And mindset.
Mindset is huge. Yep. So one of the things on Monday, I do a neighborhood marketing strategy special every Monday night. And this Monday I talked about, and I'm going to talk to you some of the strategies that I theoretically came up with, because I'm not a building farmer. So tell me what your take is of that being like a good idea, a bad idea, a doable idea. One of the ones was to kind of do like a red carpet open house for only the building. So instead of your pocket listing, your postcard was the nice, like a red carpet invitation to only the building to come and preview that particular listing, for example, an hour before the actual public open house.
Mm-hmm. No, I love it. We do have to watch, with COVID now, because I used to have like events, like come down and I bought hundreds of pumpkins and put them in my office, then come down for pumpkin patch and have a glass of apple cider and get a free pumpkin. But I couldn't do that this year. The red, I love the verbiage, the red carpet open house, or, I'm having an open house on Sunday, but I'm having a premiere for the neighbors only an hour before, and I'm going to serve donuts and coffee or whatever however you want to spin it. The question is, what happens if a lot of people come?
Well, right now, that's the question, right? I mean, we're all hoping that this is not our normal,
right?
So I know a lot of the questions are probably needing to get a modified answer just because we are talking in 2020 and things are just upside down right now. But it's...
Maybe you make it fancier. Maybe you actually send them an invitation and ask for an RSVP. Say, hey, come at 6 o'clock when you get home from work for a glass of champagne or something, or make it cheese and champagne before dinner, and please RSVP and let me know because of COVID.
Yeah, I'm sure there's certain ways where you can just go about it safely. And I think one of the biggest things there, like maybe while we're on the topic of COVID, is there anything precaution-wise that you guys are putting in place, especially having more common spaces than our neighborhoods are aware of?
We can only have 4 people at a time in any unit. We can only have 4 people at any time in an elevator. You have to wear masks in the building at all times. That's a building rule. You don't have to wear gloves, but I've had, when you're showing someone's trying to sell their unit and a tenant lives there, you can, sellers are more apt to let you do whatever, where tenants, they don't want you to touch a light switch. They don't want you to touch anything. Even if you're with a photographer and you're taking pictures, you can't pick up a chair and move it to make a nicer shot because it's the tenant. So there's that sort of thing. But yeah, COVID has really, we couldn't do any open houses for the longest time. That's when everybody was doing virtual open houses, and I did do those, but I didn't get a whole lot of traction on them. People want to see it. But yeah, I was going to say that's probably, I would just follow the rules, especially if you've got somebody, if it's a single family house and they've got, great grandma that lives with them, you really have to see what they're comfortable with.
Yeah, be careful and, make sure we're following those rules, because we don't want to be perceived as a germ spreading agent. Call about a reputation that's going to be hard to shake, right?
Right, exactly.
So, yeah, no, for sure. So if somebody wants to, get started and they want to pick a building, obviously we already talked about determining turnover, make sure it's a profitable building. I call them a profitable farm inside the group. That's always step one. And make sure there's no, established agent. But how would you go about that first contact, the first reach out, the first marketing attempt? If you live in the building, I guess it's easy to just introduce yourself, right, as one of their neighbors. But what if you don't live in the building? And I find it interesting because you have both sides. Like, you've lived in the building and now you're marketing from an outside perspective. So
it took years for people to realize that I didn't live there anymore, because they still saw me all the time. So that part was good. I had already established myself. But if you wanted to begin or start a farm, you're saying what would be my initial contact?
Yeah, what would you do? Like, if I just take you and I put you in the middle of New York, pre-COVID, obviously.
Right.
So what would be your first thing to do to establish your vertical farm back in a different city?
Honesty is always the best policy. So I would just be like, oh my gosh, I'm new to the neighborhood. I'm new to the building. I'm so excited to partner with Coldwell Banker Real Estate. And I'm really looking forward to helping all my neighbors buy and sell in the building, in the neighborhood. Or, just tell your story. Your story is more engaging than, truth is always more fascinating than crap we make up, I think.
True, very true.
I would have looked at this year, and you couldn't have wrote this book if we wanted to. So, truth is always start there.
I like that, because a lot of agents are just struggling with, I'm brand new, I have no listings, I got, nothing to show for as of yet. How do I start? And the struggle sometimes it's just like you just need to start. It's not about how, it's about do it. Right?
Just to, I mean, I had a managing broker, and when I had my my postcard, and I was putting little stickers of call me, and he walked by my desk, and I was like, now, do you think I should put it this way, or do you think I should put it this way, or straight across? And he was like, oh my God, just put it on the envelope and just do it. Don't overthink it. And I think that's the most important thing is just do something, even if it's your first, and your office, your brokerage is sold 6 units in that neighborhood. You can say, Coldwell Banker has had the lion's share of, the neighborhood.
Use your office and use your affiliation.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's the truth. And if they say, oh, really, what? And then you can say, well, we sold 123 Maple, and list them, know it. But, if they say, were any of those yours? And be like, no, I just moved to the neighborhood. I'm really excited to help sell Lincoln Square.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, I guess that's kind of wrapping it up. Maybe you want to just go about and say, what is your one advice that you would give anybody listening or catching the replay later when it comes to farming?
Ooh.
I know which one to pick, right? One thing.
I guess it's going to go down to really just, you have to just do it and not be afraid to fail. Because you will. Don't look for the wins. Look for the fail, because you'll learn more by your mistakes than you will by the things that worked. Because the things that worked are they don't have like a memorable thing inside. I've sent out hundreds and hundreds of postcards. The ones that I messed up, those are the ones that I remember. I'm like, well, that wasn't a very good idea. So I would say just do it, and just, if it doesn't work out, it's get up, and dust yourself off, and keep going.
Right.
And consistency, but change. I know that's opposites. Be consistent, but be able to bend in the wind.
Yeah, well, I think that's what we learned this year for sure, right? A little bit of pivoting is going a long way. And I think the real estate industry really did pivot quite a bit, which is why we're still here doing a lot of business.
Yeah, and it's the people that took advantage of this time to either educate ourselves or to work our sphere. I mean, everybody was answering the phone this summer. I mean, everybody was home. You could call them up and everybody was like, oh my God, I'm so glad you called. I was sitting here watching the dust settle on my, table.
Yeah, very true.
Everybody answered the phone.
Yeah, I had a lot more conversations. I think I was a lot more social, being socially distant than I was social before. It's just connecting over, things like this, face-to-face, over Zoom, over the phone. There was more conversations to be had all around this year.
And it didn't have to revolve around real estate. I could just call up my sphere and say, oh, I saw you on Facebook and I see that you're teaching 2nd grade math at home. Oh my God, I'm so glad I'm not in your shoes. That sort of thing.
Just say, I take a tutor anytime. If you want to volunteer,
Oh,
I'd
God.
be happy to sit in your lobby and show people houses. Well, you know.
Your poor kid, they'd be like, I know more than that guy does.
First, they do good. So, well, that's it. I think we're good. Thank you so much for your time. It was really like, you probably did not realize how many amazing golden nuggets you dropped throughout this 45 minutes. Like, there was so much amazing information. So I hope you guys all, took note, because there was a ton of information. Now it's just a matter, like Curtis said, take it and do something with it. Don't just let it sit there. Don't just have that notebook in front of you collecting. Make sure you take it and do something with it. Go out and find that building. Make sure that you are looking at your turnover rate, calculate it out. You can do it in less than an hour. He gave you the numbers, those highly thought after numbers. Everybody's always asking, what's the number? What's the number? You gave them all of that. So thank you, Curtis.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me. It's always great to share.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to hopefully collaborating another time. So thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you all guys later. Bye, guys.
Thanks, folks.